Now broadcasting on your favorite podcast platform, it's the Maverick Do It Different podcast with your host, Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire. When you want to step up and dare to be different, when you will dare to be great and live up to your fullest potential, when you are ready to dare to be a maverick and live the life of your dreams, filled with abundance, passion, and joy, then it's time to listen to me, Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire, and the Maverick Do It Different podcast. And welcome to this edition of our wonderful Do It Different podcast. My name is Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire, and today I'm so excited because we are going to be doing it different and communicating with one of our great authors in our book, Be a Success Maverick, Volume 3. As many of you know, we've had Volume 1 and Volume 2 over the years. Well, now we have Volume 3, and man, is it filled with some just amazing authors. And today, I'd like to introduce you to one of them. Well, she's a certified professional coach, and get this, hosts the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast. Anytime we've got badass in the description, you know you're in for a treat. She is known as the Direct Sales Domme because she helps her clients whip their business into shape. She works with badass direct sales moms to move them from making $100 monthly to reaching, well, the top echelons, 1% of their organizations. An entrepreneur since 2010, she understands the desire to contribute to families' fortune and be present with them in the here and now. Definitely a family person, and how difficult balancing these two priorities are, both personal and business. Jennie has learned the hard way while building two separate businesses, raising two kids, navigating a divorce to fulfill that need and to contribute and be there for her children and all the people that she really cares the most about in her world. She's known, as I said, as the Direct Sales Domme because her methods are effective, however, not painful. I hope that we hear all about that and more right now. Please welcome Jennie Bellinger. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Paul. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's been so much fun to get to work with you over the past few months.
It is only the beginning, and you'll hear that phrase over and over again from me. So, Badass Sales Mastery. Did I get that right? BDSM?
Close. Yeah, Badass Direct Sales Mastery.
Oh my gosh. Now, that's a Maverick term if I ever heard one. Tell me more.
Well, it all started, back in 2017. I was invited to a conference called the New Media Summit. And it was a bunch of podcast hosts and people like me who are entrepreneurs who wanted to get on podcasts. And they had us really doing some research and figuring out, okay, so what's your topic of influence? And I was like, well, I'm this badass direct sales leader. That's what I am. And I was like, BDSL, that's not fun. Okay, what would be more fun? Mastery, master it, BDSM. Now that sounds really edgy and fun and interesting. And I decided to go with it. And it really caught on at that conference. Out of 40 podcasters, I was invited to be on 8 different podcasts. And then the second New Media Summit that I went to just 6 months later, I went from 8 podcast invitations to 22 podcast invitations.
Wow.
And it's just been explosive from there.
Yeah, I teach and talk about being different and standing out. And oh my gosh, that definitely is a mantra that stands out, that is memorable. Has there been any backlash on that, or has it all been positive?
Great question. So some people are not comfortable with the whole BDSM theme,
right,
which is not surprising. And I'm okay with that, because what I've realized is that if somebody looks at, let's say they're searching for a direct sales podcast, because that's the name of my podcast, if they're searching for it and they go see my cover art and they see me there in a corset with a whip and BDSM in the background of my cover art, if they are clutching their pearls and going, oh, I could never, then that's okay. They are not my client, because if they cannot step out of their comfort zone enough to listen to a podcast that no one knows they are listening to,
Right.
What makes me believe that they're going to step outside of their comfort zone for their own business, for the benefit of their customers, for the benefit of their team members, in order to move forward? Because I know we all hear this a lot. Everything we want is outside of our comfort zone. So if you can't even listen to a podcast, not my client. And it's okay, because there's about 300 other direct sales podcasts that they can pick from that are much more safe. And that's okay too, because my podcast is safe, what is it? Safe and consensual.
There you go. Yeah, what a great lesson. I mean, that alone, if anyone really gets who you are and what this is all about, it's that you've got to do it different, and which is the Maverick way as well. You've got to do it different. You've got to step out beyond your comfort zone to create that magic. And you're a living example of that for all your clients. And what a great way to really step out and create that persona right from the get-go, so that they really get, listen, if you're not willing to step out of your comfort zone, you're probably going to get stuck in your business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what just got to applaud you for that.
Thank you.
You've got several different trainings going on. One is sales is not a 4-letter word, which is great, carrying into that, man, just cutting edge and be a little bit edgy. Everything you're doing. I really love that. And you shift your clients the mindset about selling without begging. And could you elaborate on that, how you do that and really moving them in their mindset?
Well, I think when it comes to sales, what most people think of as sales is that it's gross, it's yucky, because what they're doing is they're trying to ask for a sale before they even know if the person has the problem that their product solves. Right? Because they're not paying attention to, number one, well, what problem does my product solve? Who has those problems? And that's how you shift out of that begging mentality, or the fear of being, quote unquote, that person, that salesperson, that yucky salesperson, is knowing who you are looking for. Because when you try and sell everything to everyone, you are selling to absolutely no one.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I've been in sales for 35 years, and way beyond that if you go unprofessional sales, but actually getting paid to be in sales. And I often get that same thing. Oh my gosh, there's that sales component. And I was like, you cannot run from it. You've got to embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be able to do what I would refer to, what I call consultative selling, which sounds like that's exactly what you're talking about. Is you got to be there with them and be present with their good and their bad, their pain buttons, and how you really are helping them and improving their world rather than taking away from it.
Absolutely. And one of the things that that I've shared with my audience is that I have a 100% sales rate. You want to know why? Because I'm not always selling for me. What I care about is the person I'm talking to. And if the number one top of mind problem for them is not one that I solve, but I know someone else who solves that problem, I'm going to introduce them to the other person who has the product, program, service, whatever it may be, that solves that top of mind problem. For them, it might be a leaky bathtub. Okay, I've got a plumber, or access to plumbers literally around the world because of the networks that I'm a part of. So it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. I 100% of the time close sales. It's just not always for me.
Very cool. Yeah, especially in this day and age, that collaborative, consultative approach is so valuable right now. And so many people are like missing that boat and just missing it. And so the value of what you bring to the table and teaching them that is so powerful, because it's a message they need. So in all your success and obvious success, and you've been doing this for a while, I've in this space for over 10 years, what makes you different? Like obviously you're different. What caused you to create the success where other people entering the same arena, like your example with the conference and getting the podcast, what made you like understand to stand out where everybody had the opportunity? What is it?
I think what it is I'm paying attention to what people are saying. I'm listening. I'm really truly listening to what other people are saying. And so what I heard at the first, going back to that podcast conference that I talked about, what I heard the podcaster saying at the first one was, be an amazing guest. Listen to the podcast you're about to be on. So I generally do not go on a podcast if I haven't listened to at least one episode to have an idea. How does the host interview? What kind of people do they have on their show? All of those. I try and go rate and review the podcast if I can in advance, because they're giving me the opportunity to have a stage and put me in front of their audience. So I'm going to benefit them as well, return the favor and help get them more visibility with more ratings, because people trust ratings from complete strangers on the internet. It's interesting, but it works. And then I also promote episodes that I'm on. I have an assistant who actually goes out, finds those episodes that I've been a part of, and she promotes them for me. She puts them out there. So that way these podcast hosts are consistently seeing downloads of my episode. And it is not unusual for my episode to be in the top 3 downloaded episodes of most podcast hosts, because I promote my episodes. I'm letting people know that I'm on this show. So it's by doing that, by paying attention to what those podcasters said. I did that over the course of the 6 months between the 2 summits. And then all of a sudden, when I go to the second one, and I say all of a sudden with air quotes around it here, because you guys can't see me, 22 podcast hosts are hearing the buzz around the fact that Jennie Bellinger is the #1 downloaded podcast episode for 4 different hosts. 50% of the hosts that I was on their show between September and April announced that I was their #1 most downloaded episode. Some of them to the tune of between 600 and 700 episodes or downloads for one episode.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so important. And what you're doing is you're creating that visibility and that buzz factor. You're going out there and being strategic about what you're doing. And I highlight these things because it's, as you and I both know, there's so few people doing it. There's so few people that actually approach their business and all aspects of their business with this strategic understanding of what's really going on in the bigger matrix of the world, rather than getting into their little box.
Yeah.
And, so powerful. And your branding and everything that you're doing is a testament to what is obvious, what you do for your clients, and you lead the way.
Yeah. Well, and that's the key. I mean, I've had some people ask me the question about, why Direct Sales Domme, why BDSM? Well, because it's something I'm familiar with. I'm in that world. By the way, if that's TMI, people feel free to, you can, that's okay. You can stop listening or fast forward 30 seconds, but I'm in that world. It's something I'm familiar with, right? But I am not a sadist. I am not out there trying to cause people pain. My goal is to actually be a lady dom. So my goal is to do what is best for the people that I'm working with. So with my podcast, the people I'm serving, I'm providing as much value as I possibly can through the interviews, the people that I'm getting on my show to share information and value. Doing my monologue episode saying, hey, it's time for me to like snap you out of your doldrums, or, whatever it may be. I'm not here to cause you pain. Now, if you happen to feel pain because you go, ooh, that hurt, she just called me out. right? That's the call to do something about it and change, do something different, do it different,
Yes.
Paul, right? But my point is not to cause pain, but to get you out of pain and feel the benefit of success.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges with our clients and people that are looking to create more in their life is that that they need to face their fears, they need to face the pain, and it's why they haven't achieved what they want to yet. Is that they have to go beyond, they have to go where they've never been. And that's usually that pain space. To the other side. Yeah.
And it's scary. I totally understand. It is scary to step outside your comfort zone. And really it takes getting to the point where being in your comfort zone is actually what's going to get someone to step outside is that they want whatever is outside their comfort zone more than they want the comfort of staying in there. So the pain of change has to be less than the pain of what they're experiencing right now, even if it's what's comfortable. So if they are used to making only $1,000 a month in their direct sales business or less, that's their comfort zone. That's what they're used to step out of that, to do the different stuff, to make more money in their business, to help more people, to have more conversations with complete strangers, to get to know them so that they can find out if this is a potential client or not, or potential team member or not. That pain of change has got to be less than the pain of staying where they are.
No question. What was your transition? What was the motivating factor to move you through that space?
That's a great question. I was formerly a middle school science teacher. And I know I took some time off to be a mom. I had my first child. And when I decided, okay, now I'm ready to go back to teaching again, because I thought I'm a teacher. I can go back anytime, right? And in 2010, the height of the recession had hit the Midwest, which is where I live. Yep. And so schools could not afford an award-winning teacher with experience. Right. They had no money because states had no money. States weren't paying schools, so they had no money. So I was hearing no over and over again anyway. And so I said, okay, universe, I get the message. I'm not meant to be teaching middle school science anymore. But if not teaching middle school science, what? And 2 days later, the universe answered with an invitation to a direct sales event. And I went, that's interesting. Okay, well, let's go see what this is about. And it turned out to be this perfect storm of a company that had 50 plus years in the business, but they were new to our area. So it was like having that wonderful support of a company that knew what the hell they were doing. Right. And at the same point, all of that newness and the quote unquote ground floor opportunity conversation that people talk about, that's so wonderful. Right. Yes, it has its ups and downs when it's a ground floor company, but this had it had both the advantages and disadvantages of both. And so I went ahead and stepped out and decided, all right, well, the universe told me no more teaching. So let's go see what this is. And I made my mistakes in selling because I had never sold before in my life. My previous jobs had been working the counter at McDonald's in high school, being a camp counselor in college, and then being a middle school science teacher. I had never sold a thing in my life because people show up to McDonald's knowing exactly what they want.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Some do. Right. So, it was really me being ready and willing because I was hearing no anyway. So why the hell not at that point?
The universe definitely served up the perfect storm where they took away this component of your life and it introduced the new.
Yeah. This is where you're meant to be going. So I do still get to teach. I teach through my podcast. I teach through my workshops that I do online with my clients, all that kind of with my clients and people who aren't yet clients. I still get to teach, which is my superpower. Training is my superpower. I love it because I understand how people learn and what's going to get people to get off their tuchus and go do something.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, what a great combination. And I find that most people have that catalyst to get them off of the, out of the fire that they're in, and to have the catalyst actually move before they just, get stuck there. And it's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. The So you've written your chapter for the book, and it's in the book, and people are excited to read it. What would be a takeaway that you would love to have the audience, or the readers in this case, grab hold of? What's the takeaway from your chapter?
It really comes down to, am I allowed to say the name of the chapter?
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So the chapter is how BDSM saved my business, and it can save yours too. So I anticipate people are going to go, okay, this is going to be an interesting read. My takeaway is really that understanding that stepping outside your comfort zone is going to come along with going into unknown territory and taking a look at, again, and the name of a chapter being something involving something as edgy as BDSM, right? And saying, okay, so what does she mean? How could BDSM save someone's business? And once they go in there and read that, they'll see that, oh, there's something behind this, and it makes perfect sense, but you have to read it to understand it. Otherwise, it's just not gonna happen.
Right. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, always you continually lead with that cutting edge to say, hey, you got to open up the door to find out what's on the other side.
Yeah.
Great lesson. Great lesson. What's next? What's next for you?
Oh, what's next for me? Well, Paul, you went and got me with the writing bug. So So my next thing I'm working on my own book now. So that chapter was an inspiration for me to go, okay, there's more here, and because we had to be able to fit things in other authors into this book as well. So I couldn't expand on all of the concepts that I wanted to in there the way I wanted to. So my book is coming up next. When that's to be determined.
Fair enough. We will definitely catch up with you and find out when. I absolutely recommend people do a chapter, and it'll lead into their book. Great component. Okay, now I want to run right into a lightning round, get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
I am.
What book would you recommend for all our listeners to read?
The Success Principles by Jack Canfield.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, God.
And I understand Jack is actually coming to your next virtual summit. Is that accurate?
He was actually on my last summit. So if people want to see that, reach out to me, and I will happily share that video with you if you missed the summit back in March of 2021. But he was on my summit.
How did you get him on your summit?
So success principle number 17 is ask. And so I asked, and he said yes.
Hold on. This seems too complicated. Wait.
Right.
All I have to do is ask?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I mean, there were about 6 or 7 other people who are big names in the network marketing world who I also asked, and it wasn't a fit at the time, or it wasn't the theme was not a fit with their brand, which is, again, something I totally know. But Jack was like, yep, happy to do it. Yeah. When? And I was like, whenever you want. I will rearrange my entire life to talk to you. When would you like to do it?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's amazing. Another great lesson. Thank you for that. All right, back to the lightning round. Your favorite movie?
Favorite movie is Labyrinth with David Bowie.
Really?
I love
back?
I know, right? I have easily seen that movie. Gosh, if I've seen it once, I've seen it 700 times.
Wow.
Easily. I love that movie. I love because again, that's a whole step outside your comfort zone. The 16-year-old girl has to go save her baby brother. And she learns lessons along the way because she was willing to step outside her comfort zone because what she wanted was out there and she had to go get it.
True. Really cool. Favorite singer band?
I'd have to say Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, awesome.
Love them.
Awesome. I still have the albums.
Yes.
And yes. Biggest passion?
Ooh. Being a role model for my kids.
Ooh.
Yeah. Being a role model for my kids. Not that I expect them to be who I am, but for them to see me being who I am, and it's safe and okay to be me and be authentic. And it gives them permission to be themselves around me because they know that I'm going to love them no matter what. So if I can be me, no matter where I am, they don't see different versions of mommy. Mommy is always the same mommy, no matter who I'm talking to. And so they know that gives them the role model to be who they are in a safe space.
Yeah. So powerful. And so often parents think their job is to be their child's best friend or something else. Or it's quantity over quality. And I am a firm believer that I live the life that I want my children to live. And in that way, I'm their role model and their mentor and their guide to show them what path could be. And as dad of 6, that touches me because that is everything that I do is because of my children and with them in mind. So yeah, powerful.
Thank you.
We've got listeners all around the world that are listening to this podcast and even seeing this video in other formats. Final words of wisdom to share with them?
I think it really goes to, I feel like the underlying theme of all of this has been, don't be scared to be authentic. Don't be scared to be yourself. Don't be scared to step outside your comfort zone. It's that, just like the Susan Jeffers book, feel the fear and do it anyway. Right. Because courage isn't courage because you don't feel fear. It's courage because you do feel the fear and you do it anyway. That's what makes it bravery and courageous, is the fact that, it's scary and you still do it. Being yourself can be scary because then someone might reject you. And I can understand that fear and yet still recognize it hurts more to not be me than the rejection of someone saying, you're not for me. And that's okay.
Yeah, you've got to lead with you and let the world settle where it will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a believer in that. Oh my gosh. Great stuff, Jennie. It's been an absolute pleasure. You want to reach out to her. You want to know more. You want to connect. Right here in the description will be the information to connect with her in multiple different ways. One of which is to absolutely buy the book and read her chapter. And you'll also be able to connect with her in a whole bunch of ways. The description here will have all that information for you. Jennie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Paul, thank you. This has been a great interview. You're awesome at this. It's almost like you've done it before.
Once in a while. And thank you so much. For everybody, this is Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire. This is the Mavericks Do It Different podcast. And this whole episode has been about doing it different, stepping beyond your comfort zone, stepping beyond what your known is to create everything that you want. We dare to do it different right here. Stay tuned. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Talk to you then. Thanks for listening to Paul Finck. That's me, the Maverick Millionaire, and the Maverick Do It Different podcast. You can listen to us anytime, 24/7 on your podcast listening platform of choice. Introduce us to your friends, give us 5-star rating and subscribe, and share us across all your social media platforms to anyone that could really utilize this message right now. Till next time, everyone.